I'm glad to take that on. I support Jeff Adachi and Prop B. Probably about the only person up here right now who does. Grand jury report made it eminently clear to us that the city is going to go bankrupt in a few years if we don't reform the pension reform process. The way government works right now, the mayor's office and the board of supervisors and the unions are never going to make the drastic kind of reforms that are necessary to make this process work more fairly. And I'm probably the only union person up here. I was a member of Steelworkers, and I think the unions have done a great job for the city. But in the crisis that we're in right now, I think it's probably time for them to give back a little bit to the citizens of the city.
So pension is a ballooning item on the budget from 175 million. It went up to 525 million this year. So I absolutely believe that we need to ask our public employees to contribute more into our pension funds. I just don't agree with putting in the city charter, and I don't agree with the way the legislation is written. Currently, city employees pay any from 0 to 7% into the pensions. This is going to ask for a kind of a straight line 9 or 10%. I work at the school district. We have school cafeteria workers that only work 3 hours a week. For them, paying a flat 9% would really be a huge burden. Many of them have children and families that they take care of. And also, the health care, increasing healthcare costs, I don't think was a smart move. Asking employees to pay 50% of family dependents is a lot for many of our families. So as a supervisor, I will be pushing for our employees to pay more in. I just don't agree with the way this legislation was written.
How much would you support, just in general? I realize it's
I absolutely agree with going up to 9 and 10%, but I think it should be more of a sliding scale. So I think our highest paid employees absolutely should be paying 10%. That I agree with. But I think, for example, like I mentioned, our cafeteria workers, I think that we should allow a little bit more of a sliding scale for those employees.
Okay.
I do not support Prop B, and there's a couple of reasons. One is that the pension stories that have gotten the most attention are primarily within the police and fire department, and the high overtime costs that end up helping to generate some pretty large annual incomes that we pay pensions on. Also, the tendency for people to do spiking of salaries, where they actually get promoted for a short period of time and it's included in their pension. Those things should stop. But I think we can do that with Prop H that was passed in 2002 that allows us to go renegotiate the terms of some of these, the pension benefits, as well as the overtime issues and the management. When we're in a financial crisis, we're supposed to be able to renegotiate. So I also, talking to police on the beat, or talking to the folks who are most affected by this, and any time that you make an agreement with somebody about pensions and contractual agreements, the last thing you want to do is to actually put it on the ballot and put it into the charter. It's just going against agreements we've made, and I don't support that. Thank you.
I also am against the proposition for a number of reasons. One is what Jane said. I think the healthcare is too large a jump immediately. But more importantly, we have collective bargaining agreements with every organization in the city, with the exception of the muni drivers. And we have negotiated in good faith, as have they, through the years. For the budget over the last 3 years, they've donated hundreds of millions of dollars of their contracts back to the city to help correct the budget deficiencies. I don't think we should impose this on them. I think we need to work with them. I'm supported by the Police Officers Association, the firemen. I'm supported by United Healthcare Workers, SEIU, which are the lowest paid SEIU component in the city. All of them agree, when you talk to leadership, there needs to be pension reform. They're not stupid. They see the train coming. They need to be pension reform, but we need to involve them in the discussion, not impose it on them in the discussion. I think it can happen. I think they will go along with it. They have with salary reform. They have with many other issues. I just think we need to involve them in the dialogue. Also, to put in the charter a specific percentage disallows us from changing that percentage 2 years from now. So a 10% or 9% now, we may need to go to 12 or 15 later. So to put a specific percentage in the charter, I think, is bad public policy.
Well, with Proposition B, I would be in support of Proposition B. I believe we need to have a pension reform here in the city and county of San Francisco because we're in a recession. And I don't feel as though it's fair to ask the taxpayers to pay more in increased taxes, fee permits, and I think it's during a recession. I think that the city employees should take on some of the responsibility because they are receiving the benefits of these pensions. In addition, I would just like to add that I do not think it's fair to be asking other individuals, including low-income individuals who pay taxes into the city, who may be able to afford maybe 2 loaves of bread per month for their table, and have people who work at City Hall receiving these pensions, receiving these great benefits, who can afford to have 25 loaves of bread on their table, and taking from those who only have 2 loaves to give.
Okay, Prop B absolutely is a good idea, in the idea that people should be paying into their pension. I definitely believe that people should be paying into their pension, but a lot of the issues that come up are around working families, working poor, you know, the lunch lady who only works 3 to 5 hours a day, and how it would affect the money that they could take home, which would actually benefit them much more than the long run, and also the health care, raising that to 50% on any dependent seems like it would really disproportionately affect the poor. However, it is also my understanding that this would only be on new employees, and if indeed it were only to be on new employees and not past employees, I would be a little more likely to go for it. But if it includes everyone, which I, at this time, am not sure if it does, I would have to say no, just because there are too many poor and working poor that, you know, and their families that would not benefit. But I think we need to look at it, and maybe if we can put a cap in where earnings are, if you could go to a certain earning and then start paying into the pension, I think, or, you know, saving health care, that would be great. So
I think that Proposition B is one of the most important propositions on the ballot this year. I'm a strong supporter of Proposition B. The simple fact is we don't have enough money to pay the pension benefits as the pension system is presently set up. The city just cannot afford it. And if we keep going down this path, we are already paying hundreds of millions of dollars every single year to fund the pension obligation shortfalls. If we don't change course, we'll end up spending over $1 billion every single year only on our retired city employees. This is not an efficient use of our tax dollars, and we just can't afford it. So I'm a strong supporter of Proposition B.
Well, the savings of $170 million sounds attractive, yet the loss of health care isn't. We have lost, on the state level, the chance to get SB 810, which is universal health care here in California, until next year. Our own Healthy San Francisco is struggling because, you know, we're having problems with getting more money from those business owners who are not paying into it. So at this point, by not having coverage for those families, we may see more cost occur. So perhaps at this time, B is not the way to go. B does need to be looked at and most certainly amended.